Well, hello, boys and girls, and welcome to Movie Goodness, where we examine life through cinema here on the KB Radio Network. I am your host, Kevin Reed, and let me start off by thanking everyone for joining me for this episode of Movie Goodness and thanking you for your continuous support of all of the programs here on the KB Radio Network. I cannot express in words how happy I am for all of you who join me week to week, show by show, showing your support for some idiot who just loves to talk about movies and good stuff like that. I really do appreciate it. Thank you, thank you, thank you from the bottom of my heart. Today we're gonna do a different kind of movie goodness. Normally we talk about a topic and then we review a movie that's related to that topic. But today I wanted to go over San Diego Comic-Con that just took place this past weekend in San Diego, of course, and I'm one of the few who has never attended Comic-Con. I've always wanted to go. It was my dream to go this year. My plans were to go this year, but life got in the way, so I couldn't make it this year. But soon I will make it out to San Diego Comic-Con to go in the historic Hall H where all the big announcements are made, and drive myself crazy trying to get into all of these events and these panels and everything like that. But I watch from afar every year, and I'm intrigued, and I'm mad, and I'm happy. I'm jumping up and down. I remember years ago when Batman v Superman was announced at that Comic-Con. This was after the success of Man of Steel. Zack Snyder came out, and he had what's the actor's name? He came out and read an insert from The Dark Knight Returns graphic novel. And at the time when he was reading it, it didn't register. I'm like, wait, that sounds familiar. And when he finished his insert, that's when they showed the Superman logo on the screen, and then it is silhouette by the bat signal in the back. And we were going to get the epic team up, and I remember the elation from the crowd that was there. Once again, I'm watching this on the computer, so I'm not there in person, but the energy that was in that room spilled out through my monitor, and I was equally as excited. I ran out. My wife and my daughters were in the front watching TV. They were watching something, and I had the laptop. I'm like, look at this, look at this, look at this. I'm showing them this movie. Now, a couple of years after that, the movie actually came out, and that excitement left. But that's neither here nor there. We're not here to discuss that, but we are here to discuss not all, but some of the highlights from this past San Diego Comic-Con, and some big news that was dropped, namely from Marvel. I'm pretty sure everybody has seen it, heard about it, probably knew beforehand. I had read somewhere beforehand, maybe 2-3 weeks ago, that this was going to happen, this subject that we're going to talk about, and I was skeptical when I read it then, and I was even more skeptical when they revealed it at Comic-Con. So that's a deeper discussion, and that's what really triggered this show. That's what triggered me wanting to talk about what is going on right now. And we're coming off the heels of Marvel's most successful film since Avengers Endgame, in Deadpool and Wolverine, which was excellent. If you haven't seen it by now, I mean, what are you waiting for? I'm pretty sure it's spoiled for everybody by now, and I have my spoiler review up right now on wherever you're currently listening. You can find that review where I go in depth in some of the spoilers. I went back and listened to it, and I was like, wait, I left off a lot of stuff. It was so much that was in that movie. I still end up missing a few things, but one in the near future, I'm going to revisit that film because as of the recording of this episode, I've seen it 3 times. So there's more to discuss about that film. But we're coming off the success of that film. And Marvel was at Comic Con this past weekend, and they made some really good announcements. It wasn't a wash. It was just one in particular that I just didn't like. Now, a lot of people do like it, and I'm not mad at it. It's not a bad announcement, but it's just, well, we're going to get to it when we get to it. But before we get to the Marvel part, let's go over some of the highlights that happened at Comic Con. Or before I jump into that, let me explain to the layman who don't know what Comic Con is, because there are few, and I mean a small majority of people who have no earthly idea what Comic Con is. They have no idea what it consists of. What is this? Is it a cult? Is it what is Comic Con? Well, Comic Con technically is a comic book convention. That's what it is. That's what it started as. It was a comic book convention, and it still is. But it then morphed into this multi genre entertainment event. You know, it's like it spans different medias. It's not just comic books anymore. It's movies, it's television, it's video games, it's everything in pop culture and in geek culture is at this convention. And now it's San Diego Comic Con isn't the only Comic Con. You know, they have a Comic Con down here in New Orleans every year. Is I think it's in January, and I haven't been to that one. It just goes to show you, I'm trying to sell one of my children so I'm able to go to San Diego for this Comic Con, and they have one right around the corner from me, and I haven't been yet. So that's it just goes to show you how crazy I am. But the year I was supposed to go, it wasn't like I wasn't trying to go to the one down here. The year I was supposed to go, I forgot something had happened around that time because it's like the first week of January. It's right after right after New Year's, after the holidays and all that. Why is it so early? You know, why is it so close to a holiday, a major holiday like that? But anywho, I didn't get to make it. But in any event, that is not the only Comic Con. It's the biggest. San Diego Comic Con is the biggest. It's the granddaddy of them all, so to speak. But I digress. Let's jump into some of these announcements that took place over the weekend. Let's start off with the one that I didn't see coming, and I'm happy and curious at the same time. And this is from the world of The Boys. You know, that popular television show that I absolutely adore. Just wrapped up season 4 a couple of weeks ago. And the 5th and final season is coming up. They didn't give a date when the 5th season is coming up, but it is definitely on the way. Also on the way from that universe, we're getting a prequel series from The Boys. Now, we already got a spinoff, Gen V, which is pretty good. You know, it's even intertwining with The Boys. We saw a couple of characters pop up in season 4 of The Boys that were in Gen V. But we're getting a prequel, and this is based off of 2 characters that were on The Boys as well. And it's 2 characters that you probably wouldn't think to get their own show. But this is going to be very interesting. Vault Rising will be the name of the show. And in case you don't know, Vault is the name of the corporation that quote unquote owns the superheroes. But this is supposed to be the rise of that corporation. It's going to be set in the 1950s, and it's going to chronicle the lives of Soldier Boy and Stormfront, 2 of Vault's earliest and most powerful superhumans. And we remember If you're a fan of the show, you know that Soldier Boy, he is the father, biological father of Homelander, and Stormfront is technically, is she the mother? I forgot how it slipped my mind, but she is wrapped up in that as well. But uh, Stormfront and Homelander actually had a relationship going on in season 3, or was it 2? I forgot. But anyways, uh, those are two evil characters. Let me just put it like that, and they are getting their own show, and they will be reprised by their original actors. Jensen Ackles will be reprising the role of Soldier Boy. I think that's how you say his last name. I'm pretty sure I blumbled it, but he's returning, and Anya Cash is returning as Stormfront. And so this will be a very, very cool show to watch. I can't wait to see how they uh, uh, put this together, I guess, to put it plainly. Because I love The Boys. I really do. I love that show. Love it, love it, love it. I like Gen V, everything that's coming out of that universe. So to see the rise of this corporation, how it came to prominence, how it became so powerful, is going to be fun. And of course, it will be on Amazon Prime or Prime Video, whatever it's called today. But that was announced at San Diego Comic Con, as well as another show on Prime Video, which is the second season of Lord of the Rings, The Rings of Power. I will say, and I'm only mentioning that because I'm pretty sure there are fans of this show. I checked out of that first season like 2 or 3 episodes in. I couldn't take it. I just couldn't take it. It bored me to death, and I love Lord of the Rings. I've watched all of them, even the Hobbits. I watched them all. I the extended versions that came out on DVD back in the day, I bought those and watched all of them when they used to come on TNT all day. When they showed them all in order, I would sit there and watch them all day, all in order. I love the Lord of the Rings. I cannot stand this show for some strange reason. It just bores me to tears. But I did read somewhere that it did get pick up as the series went on, but I just couldn't dedicate myself to do it. I couldn't. I could not sit down and finish that first season. I probably will before this second season come out, just to say that I did it. You know, because normally when I start something, I gotta finish it, whether it's good or bad. And half the time it'd be bad, but it's a thing for me. I gotta finish it. When I don't go back and finish something, it's bad. It's pretty bad, and I have yet to go back and watch that. But they did announce season 2, and they showed the trailer for it, which you can find on YouTube, of that second season. Also on Prime Video, we got a first look of another superhero show that I absolutely love, coincidentally coming from Seth Rogen, who also does The Boys as well. But Invincible, season 3. In season 3, we find Invincible in a new outfit. He has a new suit this season coming up. I don't know if you watched the second season. I was talking to a friend of mine, and he's into Invincible as well. But he said I hadn't gotten around to watching season 2, because somebody told me it wasn't as good. I don't know who told you that, but they lied. The second season is good. Is it as good as the first season? Maybe not. But it's close. It's close enough. It's really, really good. And so we are getting a season 3, which is on the way. But Mark being in a new suit wasn't the announcement. The announcement was, yes, we're getting season 3 coming soon, but they announced season 4 as well. So we are not finished with the world of Invincible, and boy, I am so excited to hear that. I love this show. Didn't think it was going to be what it was, but it was what it was, and I was there for it, and I will continue to be here for it. That was I think that was all the announcements from Prime Video that I cared to, cared about, but it's all good. DC had a couple of things. They really didn't have no announcements. They didn't have any Superman footage. James Gunn said it's too early yet. We're going to talk about a film that Marvel is making right now that they just started like 2 days before Comic-Con, and they show footage. And so I don't see how James Gunn couldn't show anything from Superman that they've been filming for months now. But that's fine. It's cool. They really don't have to show anything, to be honest with you, because it has my money. I'm going to see it. But I do want to see him in action. You know, those little leaked photos from the set from about a month or so ago, that didn't do anything for me. I need to see some real action. David Corn Sweat actually flying or something. So that's what I'm looking forward to. But regardless, he did drop a couple of things. He dropped the logo for DC Studios, and it was anticlimactic, to say the least. It was basically the old school DC logo from, I would say, what, the 80s, 90s. The DC in the circle with the stars around it is the same logo. And so it was like, that's it. You know, I mean, look, it's a logo, so I'm not expecting the anti-life equation hidden inside of it or something like that. I thought it was going to be something. It just went back to the old logo. But at the same time, it's simple, it's sweet. You know what it is. Everybody recognized that logo. You don't have to sit there and scratch your head like, what is DC? What is that? You know what that is. And so I get it. So that was released. Also released was a trailer for Creature Commandos, which will premiere on Max this December, a couple of months away. I'm interested to see this, man. This looks really good, and it's an animated show, of course, but this is a part of the DCU, you know, the DC Cinematic Universe. So just because it's animated doesn't mean that it's not canon. That's something that James Gunn expressed when he took the job, when he made the announcements that everything is canon coming from DCU. You know, no matter what it is, it could be video games, movies, televisions, they all line up. And the actors who play them in live action will voice the characters in animated form going forward as well. So to keep it, you know, consistent. And I respect that. And so Creature Commandos is basically the Suicide Squad if they were monsters. You know, it's just a Suicide Squad of monsters. You have the Bride, who is the bride of Frankenstein. You also have Frankenstein's monster. You have Weasel, who we saw in the Suicide Squad from a couple of years ago. You have Rick Flag Sr. this time around. And you have Amanda Waller, who is Viola Davis. Yes, she's reprising her role. And this is where a lot of people, a lot of fans of DC, of these films, whether it's Marvel or DC, whatever, get confused when it comes to James Gunn and his creative choices. Because how are you cherry picking? And now, don't get me wrong here. There's nobody else who can play Amanda Waller like Viola Davis. She is Amanda Waller. Let's put that out there. But you take her because she was in the DCEU from a couple of years ago, you know, with Zack Snyder and all that, you know, the Suicide Squad directed by David Ayers. And so she's a part of that universe, and you're going to take her out and put her in this universe. It's one thing if you take her out of that universe and have her play a different character, but she's playing the same character. And so for people who are not engaged and don't know that this is a different thing, they're going to be like, oh, it's connected to the old the other films, the Suicide Squad and Justice League and all that other stuff. So they're gonna think that's still a thing, but it's not a thing no more. And so it's confusing, and it's even confusing to me. And I know what's going on behind the scenes. It just doesn't make sense. But I understand she's the only one. Well, let me take that back, because that's disrespectful to other actresses in Hollywood. I'm pretty sure they have other actresses who can play this role and play it well. But when you envision Amanda Waller, it's Viola Davis, man. let's not get it mistaken here. But they played the trailer. The trailer is available online. I watched it a couple of times, and I'm interested. It piqued my curiosity, and so we shall see. We'll see. Creature Commandos comes out in December on Max, so be on the lookout for that. They also announced season 2 to The Walking Dead. Daryl Dixon, the Book of Carol. Once again, I know there's a lot of fans of The Walking Dead still walking around, but I checked out of The Walking Dead so long ago, I can't tell you what's going on, who's alive, and whatever. I tried to watch that. What was it? Dead City, I think. That was the one with Negan and Megan, and I got through one episode, and I was like, nah, I'm good. It just doesn't have that same magic as the first few seasons of the original Walking Dead, and I didn't watch any of the one with Carl, not Carl, Carl's dad. What's his name? See, I can't even remember his name now. It's been so long since I watched The Walking Dead. But anywho, they announced the second season to Daryl Dixon, and they also showed the trailer for Dead City, the second season. So it was renewed for a second season. So apparently there's something there. I know it still has its fans, and I don't want to disrespect y'all who love it, and I get it. It's at its peak. The Walking Dead was the best thing on television in a while, probably all time at one point. Those seasons, the early seasons, were just much must-watch television on Sunday nights when it came out. It was just, you had to watch it that Sunday night. Otherwise, you was going to get spoiled at work. You was going to get spoiled on the internet. You had to watch it because something significant happened every single episode. And it was awesome. And then it turned into this shocking for shocking taste. Just to shock you. Just do stuff to shock you out of the blue, and it was dumb. It just didn't, to me, I just can't watch it. But they are coming back. The Walking Dead series will continue. And so for all of you Deadites out there, AMC is the place to be. For all you Trekkies out there, Paramount Plus made some announcements over the weekend at Comic-Con, starting off with Star Trek Lower Decks Season 5. And this will be the 5th and final season of the animated spin-off hit for Paramount Plus. It's a show that I'm shocked has 5 seasons, because and I'm not shocked because it's bad. I haven't watched it, and I always said I'm gonna watch it. I'm gonna have to watch it because I've heard good things. I actually heard good things about the show. For some strange reason, I have never watched it, and one of the reasons is, just to be honest here, I never go to Paramount Plus, and I have Paramount Plus. I actually pay for it, and I don't go. There's nothing on it that I watch. I don't know why. I never go on Paramount Plus, and there's some good stuff on Paramount Plus. I just gotta carve out time to watch it. So I'm gonna carve out time to try to catch up on these seasons, because this is it. Season 5 will be the swan song for Star Trek Lower Decks on October the 24th. I am yeah, I gotta find out how. I gotta carve out some time. I'm gonna take a Saturday, probably run through it like 1 month, like a Saturday. I'm gonna watch season like this Saturday. I'll watch season 1. Next Saturday, I'll watch season 2. You know, something like that. Depending on how long the episodes are. If they're 30-minute episodes, I probably can get through two, maybe even 3 seasons in a day. Who knows? We'll see. We'll see. But I definitely want to check it out, especially going by the teaser trailer that they showed. It looks really good, and I've been missing out because there was a couple of jokes in there that I missed because I didn't watch the show. So that is one of the Star Trek shows that they showed at Comic-Con. Also, season 3 of Strange New Worlds will drop next year, and they showed a clip of that, and I heard that was a good show as well. Once again, well, I'm not going to keep saying it over and over. I don't watch Disney. I don't watch Paramount Plus, and it's nothing against Paramount. It's one of those forgotten streaming services. I don't know. I can't explain it. It's crazy because I pay for it. And this is the first time I'm saying it out loud, and I feel like a complete idiot that I'm paying for this service and I'm not watching it. Matter of fact, when I finish this session here, when I finish recording and editing this show, I'm going to find something on Paramount Plus and watch it. Might watch Lower Decks. I might watch a couple of episodes before I go to bed tonight. just to justify the fact that I'm paying for this service. But in any event, yes, Strange New Worlds, which I've also heard good things about. Their 3rd season will drop next year, as well as a movie. Now, I don't know if this movie comes out next year, but or later this year, but they dropped the teaser trailer for Star Trek Section 31. And this is the Star Trek movie that stars Academy Award winner Michelle Yeoh. And I was kind of shocked by this because it's going straight to Paramount Plus. I thought it was going to the theaters. It's a Star Trek movie, so why is this not going to the theaters? But it's dropping on Paramount Plus. But I think it's linked with Strange New Worlds, if I'm not mistaken, from what I read up a little bit about it, because I don't know nothing about no character that's on this show. And I'm not a Trekkie by definition, but I do enjoy Star Trek. And so I don't know all the ins and outs, but I do know a little bit about a little bit. And to see these characters, I'm like, what is this? Because, I look at the other shows and I know who Commander Pike is, I know who Spock father is and all this other good stuff. But these characters are just out of my wheelhouse. I don't know anything about them, and which is understandable because we're talking galaxies and different planets and all this other stuff. There are more stories to tell, and I get it. This is a lesson that Star Wars needs to learn, but we're not talking about Star Wars. We're talking about Star Trek. But this looks pretty interesting. It looks real dark for a Star Trek movie. The trailer that they showed, it looks very, I don't know, just dark. That's the only adjective I can think of for this show, for this movie, I should say. But it looks interesting, looks good, and I guess I will put my Paramount Plus subscription to good use because I'm gonna watch this as well. It looks really good, but I think I'm gonna have to watch Strange New Worlds to get the backstory of these characters, especially Michelle Yeoh's character, because in going by the trailer, she appears to be a villain, and that's weird, because Michelle Yeoh she's always the hero. Maybe she's the anti-hero. I don't know. We'll have to see. I was looking for a date. I couldn't find a date when they are going to release this film, but keep your ears and your eyes open, as my dad used to say, to see when we will get Star Trek Section 31. Going back over to AMC, AMC released the trailer at Comic-Con for the second season, or the third season, I should say, the third season of Interview with the Vampire. Uh, this is the show that is based on the movie that is based on the book by Anne Rice. So we're getting a third season, and I love the movie Interview with the Vampire with Brad Pitt and Tom Cruise, Kirsten Dunst. Uh, that is one of my favorite vampire movies. Not my favorite, but one of my favorite vampire movies. It does get a little bias rating for me because once again, it's set here in New Orleans, so it always gets a curve whenever a movie or a television show is set in New Orleans. But this show, never got around to watching the show yet again. I know I'm sounding like a broken record today, but the reason for me keep saying that I'm constantly saying that about these shows and movies is because the trailers that they released at this convention got my curiosity. Yeah, I'm really like, man, this looks good. Because before this, prior to this, I saw nothing related as far as promotional material is concerned. And for 3 seasons or 2 seasons prior, concerning Interview with the Vampire. Maybe I don't watch enough TV, but I haven't seen anything to really, get me on board with it. And I haven't read nothing about it. I don't know anybody who watches it. And so it's not in my purview. And so it falls to the wayside. And so when I see something like this trailer looks amazing. It's a new type of look to this material. The interview process, is kind of updated because it's in a documentary style, as opposed to the film back in the day when it was a newspaper reporter. Well, newspapers today is a dying industry, so you got to kind of up the ante, and documentary style is the way to go, man. I think that's interesting. Now, the previous 2 seasons probably did it like it did in the movie, in the book, but this season looks like it's going to be more of a documentary interview style, and count me intrigued because I love documentaries and I love vampires. Put the two together, you have Kevin Reed on board. And so you have that coming out on AMC. I don't know what the date is again, but season 3 is on the way. Moving over to the big screen. And this already had my money. This is a property that I love dearly with all my heart and soul, even the bad ones that I can openly admit are horrible. It's still a franchise that I adore, and it is Alien Romulus, that is coming out in theaters in a couple of weeks. They didn't release the trailer for the movie, but they released a trailer for the VR game. And I watched that thing. I don't have VR, but I just watched the, gameplay or whatever. There's no way on God's green earth that I would play that game. There's no way. I would die. I would, no way I could do that. No. It's going to be hard enough for me to watch that movie. And I don't scare like that in movies, in horror movies. I love horror movies, but I don't get scared to the point where I feel like I'm going to jump out of my seat. Alien Romulus feel like I'm going to jump out my seat, and I can't wait. And now the video game, the VR game, will be released this holiday season. It's called Alien Rogue Incursion, for your VR pleasure. God bless you for wanting to play it. I hope that you take your heart medication and everything that you that you need for enjoyment of that game. All right, let's get to it. I know I've been playing around with y'all, toying with y'all. Let's get to the meat and potatoes. Okay, we ate the vegetables. We you know, drunk, sipped the tea. Let's get to the main course. And of course, Marvel made an appearance at Comic Con. This is weird timing for Marvel because this is the exact same weekend. Like I said to start off the show, the exact same weekend as Wolverine and Deadpool, or Deadpool and Wolverine, however, same movie. This is the same weekend that film came out to a huge success. I think the movie made what $215 million opening weekend, and I think 15 million of it was mine. But it's amazing. It deserves every penny and more. And so, how do you top that? How do you top that? Uh, there's a lot coming down the pike for Marvel Studios. At least it was before they had to do this soft little course correction in their plan. Let's not forget the Marvel Studios plan as of right now. We are in phase 4 or phase 5. No, we're in phase 5. We are in the middle of the multiverse saga. The multiverse saga has crashed and burned. This was supposed to be centered around one main villain, just like the Infinity Saga was centered around Thanos with the Infinity Stones. The Multiverse Saga was supposedly going to be centered around Kang the Conqueror, who was played by Jonathan Majors. Jonathan Majors messed it up. And so instead of recasting him, and I kind of get it, but at the same time, I don't. Part of me is like, won't they just recast him and be done with it? The other part of me is just be done with it, period. Because Jonathan Majors aside, this saga has not worked at all. You've had 12 films, I think, 11 or 12 films that has come out since Endgame. And you might can point at 3, maybe 4 that were good. And I'm not even counting the shows, which were hit or miss. But just going off of film, let's run it down. Let me see. Let me run it down. After Endgame, you had Spider-Man Far From Home. Far From Home. That's the one when he was in Europe or whatever. That was all right. That was pretty good. Following that, now granted, you had the pandemic. You know, that year, nothing came out. And so in 2021, the first film to come out was Black Widow, a film that was 5 years too late. And that wasn't all that good. Well, let me take that back. The movie itself was good, but it was 5 years too late. It just didn't fit in this quote unquote phase. After that, you had Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. Excellent. Love that movie. Then you had Eternals. That was the first swing and miss, big swing and miss of the Marvel Studios. Spider-Man No Way Home, home run. No pun intended. It was it was great. Then Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. Fine. You know, being nice. It was fine. Thor Love and Thunder was not good. Just to put it plainly, it was not good. Black Panther, Wakanda Forever. I still go back and forth with that movie. That movie. I don't know. I really don't. It wasn't great. It wasn't the first Black Panther, which was excellent. It's far from that. And I don't know what they were thinking, man. And trust me, I get it. All that took place during this probably had the most disturbing post-production or pre-production you can ever think of. The Murphy's law of pre-production in the film. Your star passes away. Your leading actor passed away. The replacement, what's her name, Sherry, who plays Sherry, she catches COVID. She breaks her arm or something. She broke something during film, and so she couldn't film for most of the film. They had to rewrite the screenplay about 4 different times. I mean, it was a horror show. It's a miracle that movie got made. And so I commend them for that, but they just sort of left it alone. You know, either recast Chadwick Boseman, which at the time they announced that, it was fresh. You know, he had just passed away, and I get it. Emotions were high, and I was on board too. Nah, don't recast. But no, they needed to recast. They needed to recast T'Challa. But whatever. After that, you get Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, swing and a miss. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, really good. The Marvels, not good. And then we got Deadpool and Wolverine, which you can say saved us. Us being the Marvel Studios fans, this MCU fandom here, because they needed this. Another loss would be just monumentally bad. And now, coming down the pike, we already know in February we're getting Captain America: Brave New World, and Thunderbolts, which come out in May. Both films next year, February and May. Those films, they showed footage at Comic-Con this past weekend. We already saw the trailer for Captain America: Brave New World, if you went to see Deadpool and Wolverine, or if you know what YouTube is. And so you've seen the trailer for this movie. It looks good. We get Red Hulk. I'm not spoiling anything. It's Red Hulk. It's in the trailer. And so we're getting that. This is going to be an interesting film because it's finally going to address the giant celestial that has been in the ocean ever since the Eternals film. And that movie came out, what did I say? 2001? I mean, 2021, not 2000. It feels that long to me. Since that movie came out, but 4 years ago, it hasn't been addressed in any film. And so we're finally going to address that. Thunderbolts looks like the Marvel's version of Suicide Squad. And so it's going to be another interesting film to see. How are they going to pull this off, and what is that film actually about? Because they are very tight-lipped about that movie. The 3 big announcements that took place from Marvel at Comic-Con was the Fantastic Four. Fantastic Four, they began production just this past Tuesday, or actually this Tuesday coming up. They haven't even officially started production. And this is what I was talking about earlier when I was talking about James Gunn and Superman, how he said that they still filming, they don't have anything to show at Comic-Con. Fantastic Four doesn't even start rolling cameras until Tuesday, which is the day this episode is coming out on this on this platform, and they show footage. How is that even possible? But one of the announcements they made, the title of the movie changed. It's not going to be called the Fantastic Four. It is the Fantastic Four First Steps. Now, I don't know what that consists of. Does it have any references to the moon landing? You know, first steps for the first family in Marvel, or I don't know. I don't know what it's referencing, but I don't care. This looks good. The cast is amazing. You know, Pedro Pascal, Vanessa Kirby, Joseph Quinn, who my daughter is in love with, and what's his name from The Bear? I'm blanking on it. But old boy from The Bear, he's playing Ben Grimm. And they showed some footage. Didn't get to see any of the footage, but I did see screenshots. And the screenshots look really interesting. They showed concept art of the world that they are in. This, obviously is not the sacred timeline. This is in our timeline, the 616 timeline. But it is it's going to be interesting to see how this is going to affect our timeline. By the end of this, will they merge? Will an incursion happen or whatever? I don't know. We'll have to wait to see next year on July the 25th. But we did see pictures of them together eating at the table. We saw Reed Richards in a classroom teaching. We got to see Ben Grimm as the Thing, even though it was silhouetted. We didn't actually see him, but we saw the silhouette of him, and it looks fantastic. No pun intended. I actually like how he looks. It's not the typical bolder look that we got in the previous Fantastic Four films from Fox, but the money shot of the little footage that they showed was Galactus. We got to see his eyes looking inside of the Baxter building. Now, for all of us comic book purists, we immediately hand went to head and started to scratch it. Like, wait, Galactus is the size of a planet. How is he the size of a building in this movie? Well, I'm all right with that. I'm actually okay with that because them taking on a planet-sized villain, it just wouldn't translate well on screen, I feel. And so if they do it like this and he's just the size of the Baxter building, actually he's bigger than the building anyway, but I'm cool with it. But it's a very haunting image of these giant I forgot what it's called. It's some type of phobia. I saw it online and I have it. When there's these big statues and stuff like that, it freaks me out. I forgot the name of it, but I don't like that. I don't like big things that shouldn't be that big. Abnormal big things, man. It is weird, but that freaked me out. But I'm enjoying getting freaked out by it. I can't wait to see how this all comes together, and it will come together on July the 25th, 2025. The Fantastic Four first steps. It was cute to see them. They brought them out on stage, and then you had the Fantastic car come out. They got in it, and it hovered them out of the building as they traveled to London to finish. Well, not finish, but start filming on this film. And so that was the first big announcement. The second big announcement actually came a few days prior, but they made it official at Comic-Con when Marvel Studios brought back the Russo brothers to direct the next two Avengers films. The Russo brothers directed Endgame and Infinity War. I'm good. we got it. I mean, these guys know it. They know what they're doing when it comes to these characters. We know they can handle multiple characters on screen at the same time. I mean, great job with those two films. Arguably two of the best comic book movies ever made. I don't feel that way, but for the MCU at the time, it was great. But this is going to be a task here because this is bigger, I feel, especially the next two Avengers films that were slated to come out, that they have etched in stone, allegedly, to come out. The first one will be entitled Avengers Doomsday. And that was originally Avengers the Kang Dynasty. Marvel has quickly pivoted and from Kang, from Jonathan Majors, from this entire situation and the multiverse as well. And it's an act of desperation, I feel. It's really a hasty decision Um, I understand the Jonathan Majors of it all. I get it. We can't have him in the movies. We he's done. He's done with it. I'm not mad at that. I understand that. I'm on board with that. But that don't mean you just forget about the character. I mean, it's so much that was set up, and they just let it. We just supposed to forget. We're supposed to forget Loki season 2. We're supposed to forget Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. I mean, not only that, Moon Knight. I know a lot of people want to forget these properties that I'm talking about, but they set up a lot in involving Kang, and we're just going to forget. The second Avengers film is entitled Avengers Secret Wars. If you read the comics, you know that Secret Wars is a beast. Secret Wars uh, is everybody. Is every Marvel character in one movie. And this is how they're going to have to do it. There's no other way. There's no softball in this. Captain America, Civil War, they softballed the Civil War storyline. Good movie. Enjoyed it for what it was. At its core, it stayed faithful to the source material, but they didn't, it wasn't widespread like it was in the comics, infecting the entire Marvel universe. Now, granted, I understand at the time Marvel didn't have the rights to all the characters. I get it, but it was just a softball attempt at that storyline, which a lot of things could have came from that storyline that we didn't get. But it is what it is. I still enjoyed the movie. Same thing here. Here is actually it's not the same thing. This is different because now you have the rights to these characters. You have the rights to 80 to 90% of your characters, and you still have permission to use the ones that you don't have the rights, you know, i.e. Spider-Man and Hulk. And so you can still use the majority of your characters. You have to use them all for Secret Wars. And so I want to see how this plays out. It just feels rushed because you're pivoting from the multiverse onto this other thing, and it's coming fast and furious because Avengers Doomsday comes out in 2026. Avengers Secret Wars come out 2027. So it's right around the corner, technically, and there's a lot to set up here. And so we'll see. We'll see. I would say I have faith in Kevin Feige, but I just read the list for the past 4 years. Not much to get to cheer behind with a few gems. So, with all that being said, that brings us to the big announcement of the weekend. This, like I said to start off the show, I didn't name what it was in case you didn't know, and I wanted to keep you in suspense. But the majority of the planet know because I've seen this on the news. They actually had a story about this on the news. After they reported a double homicide in the city, they cut to this announcement. I'm not making this up. This was actual fact. We mentioned Avengers Doomsday. And when you think of that title, you're like, Doomsday? Oh, Doom. Doctor Doom? Victor Von Doom? Okay, they're bringing Doctor Doom into the MCU proper, which is a no-brainer because the Fantastic Four is coming in. And you can't have Fantastic Four without Doctor Doom. And so the Doctor Doom is in the MCU or is coming to the MCU. But that's not the big news. The big news is who's going to play Doctor Doom. Now, Doctor Doom is a Thanos level villain if done right. I'm not saying as an imposing physical threat, more of a mental, more of a cerebral threat. He has the intelligence of Reed Richards. He has the intelligence of Tony Stark. He has the intelligence of a Shuri. He is one of the smartest people on Earth, in the galaxy even. And so he is truly a threat. That's why I was like, man, we really just gonna rush him into this, I wanted to kind of ease us into Doom, because Doom is a big character, awesome villain, and so you need somebody with some weight. You need somebody with some gravitas to play this role. It was announced at Comic-Con. They brought him out. They had all these Doom people dressed up in these Doom masks. Uh, one in particular wearing the green in the comics accurate costume, walks out amongst all the others, takes off his mask, and is none other than Robert Downey Jr. Now, when this happened, I was like, okay. Now, wait. Before I get to that, I had, some scoops. I do know a little bit about a little bit. I've heard about this weeks ago, but I didn't believe it, really. Oh, no way. No way. That's not true. But then I'm like, well, maybe he's just a variant that he's gonna be have a cameo in it or something. That's what I was thinking in one of these movies. No, he's actually Victor Van Doom. When they announced it, and I'm looking, I'm looking on Twitter at this video, and I'm like, wait, they serious with this, and he's serious with it. I had mixed emotions. I was excited to a degree because Robert Downey Jr. is an amazing actor. The man just won an Oscar a couple of months ago for Oppenheimer. He should have won more previously in his career. The dude is phenomenal. The job he did with Tony Stark, he is the reason for the MCU. Let's be real. He created the MCU with Iron Man. I don't like this. You remember when I said about recasting T'Challa, recasting Kane, it's not the end of the world because a certain actor can't play the role no more, or is not right for the role right now, or whatever the case may be. It's okay to recast. It's not the end of the world. There's other stars, and I know at the moment there's not too many big quote unquote movie stars who can play this role. I can name a couple, which I'm gonna name in a couple of seconds here, but I understand Robert Downey Jr., but Robert Downey Jr. wasn't a flash in the pan character who popped up in the MCU prior. For instance, Gemma Chan, who wasn't in the Eternals as one of the major characters, that wasn't her first time in the MCU. She was in Captain Marvel as a completely different character. Now, she was under heavy makeup, probably didn't even know it was her. But she played two different characters in the MCU. And like I said, you didn't notice it. Nobody cared. Same thing with Michelle Yeoh, who we talked about earlier. She played two different characters in the MCU. She was in Shang-Chi as one character, and she was in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 as another character. Nobody really cared. Why? Because they were background characters. They were B-level characters at best. Tony Stark is Tony Stark. He was the main driving force in the first three phases of this MCU, of this universe. And still to this day, they still talk about Tony Stark in these films, and he's dead and gone. The character is. They still bring him up. Spider-Man hasn't had a movie yet that doesn't reference Tony Stark. That's how poignant of a character he is. Why? Because of Robert Downey Jr. and his energy and what he brought to the role. To quickly pivot and make him the villain is, once again, I don't think is a horrible, disgusting idea if they do it right. Okay, he's a variant in another universe. Tony Stark is actually Victor Von Doom. That's all. That's actually comic accurate. There is versions of the comics where Tony Stark is Doom or something like that, or Doom is Tony Stark or is Iron Man. I forgot. I need to brush back up on my comics, but they do intertwine a lot because they're similar in a lot of ways. They both come from money. They both are super intelligent, and they both are behind Iron Mask. you know, one just chose to be not so much evil, but he is, because Doctor Doom in some comic runs is more of an anti-hero as opposed to a villain. And so there are times when he's a hero, but for the most part he's the villain. But I don't know. I'm rambling on, but it's I'm just confused by this decision. Really, truly. Does it mean I'm not gonna go see the movie? No. Yeah, I'm going to see the movies. What are you, crazy? Yeah, I'm going to see him, and I know he's going to do excellent. And Robert Downey Jr. He's gonna kill it. He's gonna kill the role. I have zero doubts about that. I guess I'm thinking in the frame of mind of people who are not in the know. You know, just the layman, those who just go to watch movies and don't know about variants, don't know about the multiverse and different universes and different versions of this person and this, that, and the third. They'll go and like, wait, I thought Tony Stark died in the other movie. Why is he back? They're going to think it's Tony Stark. You know, that's who I'm thinking of. Me, I'm a no. You probably know. There's a lot of people, and I mean a lot of people, who going to be confused as I don't know what. And so that's who I'm thinking of. And I don't know. It's a risk. They're taking a swing, but we'll see how this pans out. But those were the big announcements from Comic-Con. Not a big one. This wasn't a big year. This was kind of a poo-poo year, to be honest with you. I was expecting more. We didn't get anything about Blade. I guess Blade is done because Blade was supposed to come out next year. They haven't started Blade. They don't even. I don't think Blade is going to happen. And if you watch Deadpool and Wolverine, I don't think Blade is going to happen. I'm not going to spoil nothing for you, but the Mahershala Ali Blade movie, I think that's over. I think that's dead in the water, and that's sad because I was hyped up to see what Mahershala Ali can do in that role. I really was. I was super excited. Coincidentally, it was what 5-6 years ago at Comic-Con that they announced Mahershala Ali will be Blade. Brought him out on stage, and that was the big announcement at the end. And here we are. We haven't seen him yet. They haven't done anything. We heard his voice in the Eternals at the very end, but that was it. Nothing else. So it is what it is. But that was Comic-Con in a nutshell. Just a few of the highlights of that weekend. Some real good announcements. Really good announcements. Some puzzling. Nothing bad. Just puzzling. Like I said, it just for Marvel. Speaking in Marvel's panel, it just felt a little desperate. Bringing back the Russos, bringing back Robert Downey Jr. That it looks like, okay, let's go back to the well. The new crop ain't working, and I don't want to blame it on the new crop. I think it's just the material that they had to work with. It wasn't conducive, man. It wasn't in it wasn't executed properly, and it's a shame because there was some really good characters in the past 2 or 3 phases that I think could have done something going forward. Shang-Chi, Moon Knight, if they would have done that right. Still don't know about White Vision. Where is he? It's just a lot going on. Kate Bishop and all these other characters. Where they at? I think the only way to cure this problem that the MCU is having right now, X-Men. That's the announcement they need to make. That they need to start that going. The mutant saga. Let's go. This weekend proved it. Deadpool and Wolverine proves it that we are craving some mutant power. So let's get it, Kevin Feige. Let's make it so. But I would like to know, which announcement are you excited about? How do you feel about Robert Downey Jr. returning to the MCU as Doctor Doom? Do you think it's a smart move or confusing, or they should have? Do you feel like that's what's the word I'm looking for? Oh Lord, where is it at? Anyway, disrespecting the death of Tony Stark. Is that it? Is it taken away from that sacrifice by bringing him back, even though he's a different character? I would love to know. Email the show, kbradiopodcast@gmail.com. You can also search for the show on all social media platforms. Just search for the KB Radio Network. Also, subscribe to the KB Radio Network channel on YouTube and like this video if you don't mind. Don't forget about the 5 stars, the reviews, and sharing this show. If you're listening on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, wherever you are currently listening to movie goodness here on the KB Radio Network. Everybody, thank you for joining me for this rundown of the 2024 San Diego Comic-Con. Fingers crossed for next year that I will be in the building when they make all of these juicy announcements. I want you all to know that I love you, continue to love everyone, and until we speak again, you all be blessed.